It's MOS Monday, and the Mets are in first place. Gotta be April Fool's joke. No, they really are. This is your Army Now. Coming to you live from the NorCal studios in Sacramento, California, this is your Army Now. Hey team, what's going on? Happy Monday. Sergeant Major Nelson here, your Army Now. That is not a joke. The Mets are in first place. Hey, listen, Yankees just came off a sweep of Baltimore after getting crushed for the first couple days. So this is Police Call. This is how we open the show. Really how we open the show is crazy stories from Nelson about how the weekend went. So went to a home improvement store. See how I did that? And I bought some mulching blades. Now these, what I've noticed, are great for mulching grass. However, they do not mulch and break up rocks into like landscape stones. No good. Yeah, that's what happens. You tear it up, tear up the blade. And the cooler thing is now I have to buy a garage window. Isn't that terrible? Because one of them like shot off like a projectile right through the window of the garage. See? That's what I get for doing yard work. Should have just let the grass grow. Hey, listen! School is almost out, right? What are we? April. I think they graduate. I know back home where I'm from in Connecticut, it's late. It's like mid-June. But around here, it's what? Mid-May? End of May? So what's next? What's up, kids? What do you do? What happens if you were in college your first year, right? Because I guess California's pretty good at paying for the first year of college. Now, how are we paying for the next three? Don't let that spoil your decision to continue your education. You can join the Army and get the Montgomery GI Bill, or better yet, how about the reserves, right? You could join the Army Reserves, work 2 weekends a month, or no, 1 weekend a month. I'm making you work more. 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer, and get your college paid for, and a few bucks to put in your gas tank. How about that? Go in and see your local Army recruiter. They're all over this place. And that'll get you back in college for the sophomore semester or your sophomore year. What about if you're a senior in high school with zero plan? How about you walk into your Army recruiting station and tell them what you want to do? And then my recruiters will sit down with you and they will show you a plan based on your needs, wants, and desires. And oh, by the way, while we're talking about all this, let's talk about all this bonus money that's out there. So let's see. There's quick ship bonuses. What does that mean? That means you graduate high school on May 31st. You agree to ship out by June 15th. Here's some money. Thousands. We're in the thousands when we're talking. How about if you are a prior service guy and you're coming in from another service, or you got out of the Army 5 years ago and you're trying to figure out what's going on, walk into the station, there might be a bonus for you. The reserves, I just told you about that, right? 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. Pay for your college. And oh, by the way, how about 20 G's in bonus money? Can you imagine that for a part-time job? Go see if Mickey D's will do that for you. So, other stuff that's going on, just go into the recruiting station. If you need to know where it is, let me know. We're going to talk about it. Speaking of prior service, we're going to talk to Sergeant Fassl, Brendan Fassl, who is a master trainer here now, but he's a prior service guy. And he was in the Air Force. It's going to be a great interview. That's going to come up after we do the break. So here's some off-the-cuff news. I don't know anything about the video games, which we learned, except for Miss Pac-Man, right? And so apparently you can look up on any news outlet. The Army has modified the HoloLens 2 for a real-life game, Call of Duty. I don't even know what that means. But apparently it's something virtual reality. Going to put some little goggles on and go fight and win the war. Okay, so do that. Look it up. Find out how to get your pair of goggles and you'll be all set. Here's what I'm excited about, team. Ha ha! So, you know, I got about 18? What do I got, about 18 months? I don't even have that many months left in the Army. About 15 months left in the Army. And now, of course, they're going to come out with the new green uniform, right, as I'm leaving. Now, it's been approved. They're wearing it. Just sent out 500 new sets. Now, the great news is recruiting, you're getting it first, right? We're going to get to walk around. Now, they'll probably wait and give me mine last. Have you seen these things? These things are gorgeous, right? World War II replica stuff. Much better than the uniform you wore, Brendan, some years ago when he was in a different service. We'll just leave it at that. I don't care, team. These things could be $2,000 and come out the day before I retire. I'm buying a set. I'm going to the parades with the old people and the American Legion, BFW, and everything else in the new Army green uniform. Thanks to the SMA for that, right? Because this kind of was like his whole initiative, right? Sergeant Major Daley. And it really is about putting the Army back in touch with the community. And really, you think back to World War II, that's kind of like when everybody recognized their Army, right? We've been running around in these blues in the ASUs here for the last couple of years, being called everything from Air Force to flight pilots, all kinds of stuff going on. But I love the new greens. They're coming. Anyway, enough bloviating. We're going to talk to the cool kids, right? The guys that drive the tanks and blow stuff up. After the break, be here or be square. You're listening and watching Your Army Now.
Air missile defense is the latest technology, and it is the future for air defenders.
Air defense is placed on the battlefield is behind the ground forces, where we are deterrent to push forward and eliminate enemy ballistic missiles and aircraft.
This job is very physically demanding. You have to be able to lift ammo cans, work under pressure. Like, you need to be very mentally and physically strong.
We protect our friendly allies against enemy fire. We are infantry of the sky.
What's going on, team? We're back. Sergeant Major Nelson, Your Army Now. Hey, listen, we talked earlier about those prior service enlistment bonuses, and a lot of the jobs that come with those bonuses are for those adventure junkie jobs. Adventure junkies like Sergeant Brendan Fassl right here, who is a 19 kilo, right? Armor crew member, which means drives a tank. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. So, listen, your Army story is pretty unique in that it didn't start off in the Army.
Correct.
How did your military experience start off?
So I actually enlisted in the Air Force. While I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Ramstein, Germany, which is kind of a main hub for people deploying. And so I got to see all the Army guys going overseas doing the fighting. So I kind of wanted to do more. So they had the Blue to Green program, which allows us to leave the Air Force and go to the Army without a break in service. So I ended up applying for that and got picked.
Okay. So what did you initially do in the Air Force?
So I did air transportation and civil engineering. So we dealt with the transportation of soldiers back and forth to different places, and that's basically it.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. Anyway, that's why he got these two cool little badges that we let him wear on his Army uniform. So now, all of a sudden, you do blue to green, and you don't want to do that job in the Army because you're looking for adventure. What did you decide to do in the Army?
So they gave me 3 options, which was infantry, armor, artillery. My brother was an infantry officer, so I called him to get his input. And he said, well, don't go artillery because it's not direct fire. He said, don't go infantry because the Air Force made you too soft. He said, go armor, it's direct fire, but you're still in the combat, get that adrenaline and that excitement.
Driving tanks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So kids, you remember when you were like 5 years old and you got a big wheel for Christmas and you duct taped a big tree branch that had fallen in your yard, and while your friends are hiding behind the tree with their little stick guns, you come rolling around the corner and you're like, I just killed you with a tank. He gets to do this in real life. So just explain the experience, because it's got to be cool.
So training itself was awesome. Growing up, I drove a 1996 Toyota Camry, and then all of a sudden I'm driving a 60-ton vehicle at training.
Yeah.
Then also there's a portion where you'll sit in the gunner's seat and you'll fire the main gun, and so it's a 120 millimeter cannon that you're firing, and it's pretty incredible. It's a lot of power behind your fingers.
Now you heard that, team, right? A Camry. Make a meme if you're out there of a Camry with a duct tape stick to it down tree branch, and you'll see what he used to drive, and now he gets to drive the real thing. Unreal. So just tell me about the firepower behind when one of those things just launches. It's got to be mean.
Inside the tank, absolutely, but inside you really can't. You don't really notice that much. The breach comes back inside the tank, but you're wearing your protective gear on, and you don't really realize it. You just, you have eyes on target, and you just see it blow up, which is the coolest thing. You get to pay to blow things up.
All right, I'll take it. Unreal. I think maybe I'm going to leave recruiting and go drive tanks. So Fort Knox, Kentucky is where training was back in the day. Now it's at Fort Benning.
Correct.
How long was training?
So 9.5 weeks of basic training, and it was OSA one station unit training. I think the additional training is about 7 weeks. I'm not sure on that.
So about 17 weeks? Yeah, it was a long time ago, right?
100%.
All right.
15.
All right, so now, once you left that, you decided you came out on recruiting.
Yep.
I volunteered or were kind of selected?
I was selected. It was 2011 was my last deployment to Iraq, and I have a young family at the time, so I'm like, okay, I should try something new. So I volunteered for drill sergeant duty, and I got selected for recruiting duty. And I came out here, and I just loved it, being able to tell my story and kind of show people why I left the Air Force to go for the Army and give people the same opportunities that I had.
Okay. No regrets?
None at all.
No.
My only regret, honestly, I love the Air Force, but my regret would go in the Air Force first. It just wasn't the right fit for me.
Okay. No, that's an honest answer. Listen, the Air Force is a great organization. All the services are. Listen, there hasn't been one to fight and win a war by themselves yet. Everything's going joint these days. It's just what your preference is. We hope your preference is with us, the United States Army. Go in and see your local Army recruiter. Maybe you can find out about the tanks or any one of the other 150 ways you can serve. Brendan, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for visiting us. Team, there it is. Tanker. You've been watching and listening. Your Army Now.
The infantry's tough. It's not supposed to be easy. There's been a lot of people who quit since I've joined here, but not me. I joined here for a reason, and that's to protect my family and be a part of something bigger.
The important thing that is easily overlooked is a lot of mental. You need to have a strong mentality to do this job, to push even when your body can't go anymore, to be able to rely on one another.
What's going on, team? We're back. Your Army Now. Can you talk to me about blowing stuff up in a tank? That's just awesome. All I did was ride around in a patrol car and flash my lights at people, and I thought that was exciting. Blowing stuff up, obviously pretty cool. Now, listen, breaking news. Apparently the Phillies won a game, right? Which means they took a half a game lead on the Mets, and what is it, like 7 games into the season, the Mets have begun their descent to the basement. And you should see what Brendan's doing right now. See, he can't get over the Subway Series, right, when my Yankees whoop their tail. Hey, listen, some great stuff is going on here in the Sacramento area. Skilled Trades Job Fair on the 13th of April, right? Yep, there it is. And that's happening in the Sacramento area. Skilled Trades, what's that mean? Probably heating and air, mechanics, plumbing, electrician stuff, all the stuff that we've talked about on a previous show that Micro talks about as being the way of the future, that no kid is going to know how to fix the toilet when it clogs up. Okay? So get out there. It's happening in Citrus Heights. That's Skilled Trades Job Fair, the 13th of April. Not sure what time. Call the recruiting station up there in Fair Oaks. They'll love to tell you. That's Fair Oaks, California, in case you're listening somewhere else, because you probably are. Also, the Sac City College Career Day on the 23rd of April. And now here's what's awesome about this, right? So Brendan, behind the camera here, his son goes to that school and dents his couch, probably, and I'm sure he's paying for the college, right? So here's what we'll do. You guys figure out who Brendan's son is, and go get him off of Brendan's couch and pay for his college for him. Put him in the reserves, do something. Brendan's son, if you're listening or watching, which I'm sure your dad has told you to, so we can have me and him and like 3 people like the show and follow the show and watch it. If you're watching, visit the Army recruiting tent at the Sac City College Career Day and get off your dad's couch. He's laughing at you. No, listen, go explore, see what the Army Reserves has. I'm sure your dad wears you out about it every night. Good stuff going on around the area. We're getting ready for some summer fun. Beautiful weather last couple days. Good news, Sergeant Major Todd, right, my replacement, and his AMPA, Nelson, have come to visit. They're here today. They would make a cameo, but they'd rather sit behind and just watch. But we're going to show them around. It's going to be sad to give up the helm to somebody else, but that's what we do in the Army. It's his turn, and he's going to do great and wondrous things here at the battalion. So shout out to him and to Nelson. Good to see you guys. Good meeting you. Well, they're telling me I got to go. You hear the music in the background? Hey, listen, team. As always, I couldn't put on the show without the crack team, and it's Brendan and Mark and JB and Dylan, and I'm Sergeant Major Nelson. You've been listening and watching Your Army Now. Like, follow, share.